I think I'm live. Welcome to a guided city tour here in Berlin. My name is Michael Rost. I've been working as a professional tour guide for more than 30 years now. And yeah, this is my first official live stream for the GIZ. So it's an experience, but I've done a couple of live streams before and they worked out well. So hopefully this one too. And if you've got questions, don't hesitate. Questions are welcome. I can't see you, of course, you can see me. I have a colleague of mine next to me who is checking as well what's going on. It's Johannes Drexler, just in case. So I will switch the camera now that you can see where we are. Okay. Okay, we are standing right in the center of Berlin, and this is the Berlin Palace, or maybe I shouldn't say Berlin Palace, it's the Humboldt Forum officially. And do you have any idea how old this building is? Any answers in the chat? So, if not, it's quite new. It was recently opened last year, so it's a completely new building, even if it looks old. And we go on a little bit to the modern facade, so then you might believe me that this is a newer building. So we had a city palace here. The first one was built already in the 15th century. Then in the 18th century, a Baroque palace was built. By the way, this is the Berlin Cathedral right behind it, which we are going to see later on. So here you can see it, it's a modern facade and the old one as well. So the original palace was severely damaged in World War II and was in use until 1950, but then it was decided here in former East Berlin to blow it up, so to tear it down. And instead, for a couple of years, we had half the size of this place, the Palace of the Republic of East Germany. And after unification, we had a long debate, severe discussions, whether we should keep the Palace of the Republic or whether we should rebuild the old palace. And it was decided to rebuild the old palace and tear the Palace of the Republic down, but it's a modern building inside. And only on 3 sides we have the historical facades, which is obvious here. So building cost 680 million, 130 million for the facade itself, but this was financed by donations. So I will go on telling you more about this building in a couple of minutes. First of all, we will look around, seeing the TV tower and the Nikolai Quarter. So this is the place where Berlin was founded around 1200. Nobody knows the exact year, mentioned for the first time 1237. And in 1987 we celebrated officially our 750th anniversary. So it's nearly 800 years, not that old compared to other German cities or non-European cities, of course. Okay, it looks somehow old, the Nikolai Quarter, but it's more or less artificial as well. So only 2.5 buildings are real. All others were newly built in the 1980s for the occasion of our 750th anniversary. So the nickname was Honecker's Disneyland. Honecker, head of state of East Germany, so therefore the quarter got the nickname. Right behind it you can see a red tower. This is our city hall, seat of our governing lord and mayor, built in 1869, so around 150 years ago. No political background, so the brick construction is red, therefore the name Red City Hall. And then we have next to it the TV tower, which was built more than 50 years ago, so 52 exactly, and it was the second tallest TV tower worldwide back then, 365 meters to the top, so 1 meter for each day of the year, easy to remember to anybody. Unfortunately, there's a new antenna on top now, and it's 368 meters. And now it's, I think, number 17 worldwide TV tower, but still the tallest building in Germany. We do have two rivers here in Berlin. So one is the River Spree, right beneath us here. So you can do a cruise here, boat tour for about an hour, going up and down here, seeing the historical center of Berlin. So the spring of the River Spree is next to the Czech border, and here in Berlin the River Spree flows into the River Havel in the western part of the sea. Some general information about Berlin. So it's the capital of Germany, of course, the biggest city in Germany, around 3.7 million inhabitants. Biggest city in Germany as well, so by size it covers an area of around 900 square kilometers, and the longest distances are here 45 kilometers east-west, 38 north-south. But of course today we will see only less than 1% of Berlin. So beautiful weather today, even it's a bit chilly, so it's 12 degrees at the moment, but sunny. Okay, so let's go a bit further towards the palace. So it has 5 portals. This here is portal number 1, and then next to it portal number 2. So this were the main entrances to the palace in former times, because the old historical city of Berlin was to the left, and state guests were received here. So before we enter, a view to the left. So not rebuilt, original, the old royal stables, where the former horses, chariots of the royal family were stored. And the Council of State building straight ahead, the red one, so head or seat of Erich Honecker, head of state, head of the Council of State in former times. So this was the center of power of East Germany here. And difficult to see from here, the entrance doesn't fit very well. It's again an old portal of the city palace, which was preserved because it was said that Karl Liebknecht had proclaimed the Free Socialist Republic of Germany from the balcony on November 9th, 1918, right after the end of World War I. So, okay, let's have a look into the palace. It's not a palace anymore inside, it's a world museum, as they say. So a cultural center. We have 4 museums inside. The Ethnological Museum recently opened. Then the Museum of Asian Art is inside here as well. The Berlin Museum. And a part or museum from the Humboldt University, the so-called Humboldt. Okay, so we are entering now the so-called Schüterhof. Andreas Schlüter was the main builder, architect of the palace around 1700. It was built for King Frederick I. So we are here in former Prussia. In Germany we had several kingdoms until the 19th century. So Bavaria, Saxonia, for example, and here northeast, Prussia, the most powerful of the German kingdoms. And we had many Prussian kings, so difficult to remember them or difficult to say who is who, because they had 2 names, either Frederick or Frederick William. So the palace was built for Frederick I. Then his son was Frederick William I. and so on. Frederick II, Frederick William II, 3rd, 4th, and so on. Okay, this is Baroque style here. Even the statues, which you can see here on both inner portals. So straight ahead is portal number 5. And if I move a little bit here, you can see statues depicting Greek goddesses like Hermes and others, so goddesses from the Greek mythology. Okay, and on this side we have again 4 female statues, Baroque statues, so 4 virtues are visible here. So as from the outside you can see we have here 3 Baroque facades and a modern one as well. So this is here. This was designed by the Italian architect Franco Stella, who could win the competition for the reconstruction of the palace, or better to say, the Humboldt Forum. Okay, we move on a little bit. I can show you more sites here in the center of Berlin. So some old buildings are still visible, even if Berlin was severely damaged in World War II. So 30% of all buildings were completely destroyed during World War II. 20% made it through the war undamaged, and in the city center, around 80–90% of the buildings were completely destroyed. And some were redone, especially on Museum Island. Straight ahead. So I'd like to turn around again just to show you that some segments of the former palace could be preserved or could be found later on, and they are visible here. So in portal number 5. Some green areas next to it as well. I think there could be more. Looks a bit plain here. Yeah, once again, TV tower. Down there we have the second oldest church as well, and the Berlin Cathedral here in front of us was built between 1894 and 1905, so 120 years ago. It was planned to be inaugurated in the year 1900, but there was a delay in the work, about 5 years, as usual somehow in Berlin, one could say. It's a Protestant church, even if it looks a little bit Catholic. So it was built for the royal family, the Hohenzollern. So underneath the church is a royal crypt. More than 90 sarcophagi are on display there. And the Berlin Cathedral as well was severely damaged in World War II. It was a ruin. So after the war, until the 1970s, and then it was decided to redo it as well. Again, it has to be refurbished now, so there's a lot of work to do. It's a church and somehow, a museum as well, so you pay a maintenance fee if you want to have a look inside. Sorry, it's a bit loud here. So down here to the left-hand side is the street Unter den Linden, Berlin's main boulevard thoroughfare. for more than 350 years now. Some more of the older buildings are visible over there. A church with 2 towers, which is a museum nowadays. We have the Palace Bridge over there, and some important buildings following, like the Humboldt University. So a university which was founded in 1810, excuse me. And it was still is a famous university. It had 27 Nobel Prize winners in its history, like Albert Einstein, Max Planck, Robert Koch, Hahn, and many others more. So it's not that crowded here. We are right in the center of Berlin, but yeah, tourism is still a bit low, but there's a group, so a guided tour over there. And again, a view of the Berlin Cathedral. So if you go inside, you can go up as well. So there's a visitors platform up there. Some people are visible for me at least here, hopefully for you as well. And it's a bit narrow up there. So now, since Saturday, we can go up on the rooftop of the palace as well. So it's a new attraction for Berlin. So you go up and you get a bird's eye view of the city next to the dome up there on top of the palace. Okay. Museum Island. For a long time, art collections could be seen only inside royal palaces, but in the 19th century the first museums were founded even for the public. So this one was inaugurated in 1830. So, beautiful fountain here to the right, where the noise comes from. And it was designed by Carl Friedrich Schinkel, Berlin's most important builder in the 19th century. So everywhere in the city center you can find his buildings. So in total we have 5 museum buildings here. So the first one, we built the old one here in front of us. We are going to see the new one as well in a minute. Then we have the old National Gallery, the Pergamon Museum, and the Bode Museum, listed to the Cultural Heritage of the UNESCO in 1999. The whole complex, all 5 museums. So we'll have a look around here. So inside you can find Greek, Roman art. Next here to the left is the second arm of the River Spree, so we are here on an island, therefore the name Museum Island. On the other side, the pink building is the former Prussian armory arsenal, where the weapons were stored. Nowadays, the German Historical Museum. And straight ahead, the James Simon Gallery, the main entrance building for the whole island. Recently built, 10 years ago I think, was completed. Next to it, to the right hand side, the new museum. And we are going to see a tactile model of the island here, to get an idea how the old island looks like. So here we are, coming from the palace. So this was our starting point down here next to the River Spree. Then we went through the palace, past the Berlin Cathedral and The old museum is this one here, and now we are standing exactly here, next to the old one. This is the new museum, the old National Gallery, the Pergamon Museum, and the Bode Museum. So altogether, as I've told you, 5. So 4 museums were redone in East German times, reopened, and the 5th one was still a ruin until the 1990s, so the new museum here. And if we look up, it's visible. So the old parts were preserved in the rebuilding process, and you can see what is new as well. So quite impressive, very well done by the British architect Schüterhof, and it's worthwhile to have a look inside for the exhibits, of course. So it's the Egyptian Museum, and it hosts as a main exhibition piece a bust of Nefertiti, the famous Egyptian queen, just one eye painted, and other Egyptian exhibits, art as well. So it's worthwhile to visit for the exhibits and for the architecture as well. And the James Simon Gallery was done by Schüterhof as well, so a modern expression. Before we go on here, let's have a view towards the building straight ahead. So in the background to the right-hand side, the Pergamon Museum is visible, the biggest one, with huge exhibits like the Pergamon altar from nowadays Turkey, so Greek art, Roman art, and in the future Egyptian art as well. But across the river to the left-hand side, you can see in the background 5 buildings with 4 stories. The second one is orange, dark orange, and this is a building where our Chancellor Angela Merkel has her apartment. So she has been living here for a long time, even before she became Chancellor, and is living right in the center of the city. 2 policemen are standing in front of the building, small police car. That's enough for the security of our Chancellor. There are some more security inside, but not that much compared to other countries. So she prefers to live in a private apartment rather than in the official building, the Chancellery, which we are going to see on Thursday. Okay, back to the James Simon Gallery. James Simon, maybe go up a little bit, get another view. So we don't go inside, but just to get an idea here, get a bit closer to the new museum and to look back again to the old museum and the Berlin Palace. James Simon was one of the wealthiest, richest Berliners in the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. So he was of Jewish origin, and his father made a fortune selling cotton in Germany. And James Simon collected art. So he loved art, collected art, Byzantine art in the beginning, German art. Later on, he financed excavations in Iraq and in Egypt. So, and a famous excavation in Egypt was completely financed by him. So 50% of what was found was left in Egypt, and 50% was owned by James Simon afterwards, came to Berlin. And part of this 50% was the Nefertiti, the bust of Nefertiti. So the bust stood in his private villa in Tiergartenstraße for many years, and later on he donated his complete collection to the museums here. So many of the exhibits in several museums here were donated by James Simon. But because he was of Jewish origin, the Nazis erased all traces of what he has done, and his name was forgotten for a longer time, until 15 years ago, 20 years ago maybe, and now we remember what he has done, and the main entrance building bears his name. So colonnades here all around Museum Island, one could say. So this is here to the left, the entrance at the moment, one of the entrances to the new museum. And over here, in the background, the Pergamon Museum and the old National Gallery. So it's built like a Greek temple, and it hosts paintings from the 18th, 19th century. In the beginning, only German art, now from Europe especially. So the whole island has to be modernized. It's going to be enlarged as well. So the Pergamon Museum straight ahead gets a fourth wing, because we can show only 10-20% of all we do have here in the exhibitions. The rest is in the cellars. So it's going to be enlarged, and there's work to do for probably 30 years. And it cost more than 2 billion euro to redo the whole island. So if you have a chance to come to Germany in 15 years, you could see the results probably. So to the right side, again, the Berlin Cathedral. And to end our short tour, we are going again towards the River Spree. So entrance here. In the future, the whole island will be accessible. So at the moment, only the area we are seeing here now, and again the colonnades here. And straight ahead, the next cruise. Okay, so we are going on to the bridge, our last stop. So we have a look over here to the left-hand side, maybe a bit difficult to see. In the background, the gold globe of the new synagogue, which was built in 1866. Biggest synagogue in Germany back then. Today it's a museum, not a synagogue anymore. Okay. So, and I like to show you Berlin's oldest church, all the way down there, with the two spires. This is again the place where Berlin was founded. Okay, so here I like to end our tour, show myself again, if it's possible. So, do you have any questions? Anything you want to know? Hopefully the sound is fine, picture quality as well. Any feedback? If not, so we like to thank you for your attention and wish you all the best, and see you on Thursday again, where we are going to see the Parliament building, Brandenburg Gate and some other sites. Okay, see you and bye-bye.